good with it. You know what I mean? I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do my work, I'm going to have fun first and foremost. You know what I mean? I didn't know if I was going to play 1 year or 5 years or 12 years.
12.
I just was able to enjoy it. You know what I mean? Just really make sure for my family structure, being blessed to have really great parents and a core system, value system around me, to go out there and just do my best. You know what I mean? The same things that got me there. Work hard. Have a great attitude and go after it. So a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety showing up a place in San Diego, you know what I mean?
22 with these mountain men.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna
these
hit
guys, and again, you are the new kid on the block, right? And it's not an easy place to be, especially if you're drafted, because the expectations are there, right? Oh, well, you were drafted pretty high. You got to be ready to go and input. And unfortunately, I was not able to really make a huge impact my rookie year. I played a little bit, mostly special teams, but I didn't play a lot of receiver. And so guys are like, oh, okay, well, we don't know if this guy's going to make it last. So it was just that first 2-3 years really trying to work my way into that starting lineup, which I was able to do, and finally, things from there went well. But that challenge of showing up and coming from a small school in my background.
Hello and welcome to Vetting America. I'm your host, Adam T. Cummings, and today we're live at the beautiful Center Club in the bustling borough of South Tampa, Florida. I appreciate you all being here today with us to hear these amazing stories of service, sacrifice, transition, and transformation, while highlighting those organizations and resources that are improving lives in the military and veteran space. And if you continue to support us on social media by going to our official Vetting America YouTube channel and subscribing, and then visiting vettingamerica.com and learning about the amazing guests and vetted resources that are improving lives in our space, that goes such a long way into supporting us into the future. Let's jump right into it. Today's show features former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Vincent Jackson, who started as a wide receiver from 2012 to 2017. A military dependent his entire childhood, Vince started his military nonprofit, the Jackson in Action 83 Foundation, in November of 2012. This organization is designed to provide support to military families, focusing on the educational, emotional, and physical health of children. Vince has a unique take on a military experience, and I'm excited to share his story with all of you today. Thanks so much for coming on, Vince.
Thanks, Adam. Glad to be here.
So, your parents both served in the Army, correct?
Yes,
tell us a little bit about that, and tell us what it was like growing up as a military dependent, the entire thing.
Yeah, so, again, that's something, I grew up in a very philanthropic household, right? So as a child, I remember my dad getting me engaged with, local community efforts, nonprofits, endeavors, cleanups, fundraisers, Salvation Army, going to feed the homeless. And I always had an opportunity as a professional to consider and think about, what is something that's near and dear to my heart, you know what I mean? What is something that I can relate to? And one thing that I know for sure that has really been the fabric of really my professional life, my upbringing, and everything that I'm really involved in today is that background of the military family. So again, both my parents served. My dad served 21 years in the Army. My mom was only in briefly, but thank goodness she was. That's where they met, actually overseas in Germany. And they came back to the States after their deployment and station there. My mom got out of the military. Obviously, they got married. Here comes little Vincent, a little bit of time later. And we continue to proceed through my childhood as a military family. So the experiences, the traveling, the deployments, the changing of schools, the challenges, the great, the ups and downs. I mean, that whole experience to me is really what molded me into the man that I am today. And again, by all means, going through it as a kid, was it a little bit challenging and tough? There were times where it was rough. You know what I mean? You're having to move from one base to another, missing, your friends, having to transition to new places, make up school times, keep your grades up. So there's a lot of things in that again, I think make us more resilient. Makes us tougher, makes us bound together and grow together as a family.
Yes.
And again, I look back at it now, and I got to probably around that high school age, I really started absorbing, going, wow, what a privilege it was to be that military brat, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So your dad served 2 tours overseas while you were growing up, correct? What's it like for a young man growing up to be without his father for months on end, knowing where he's at fighting wars to defend our country?
Yeah, so my dad, we were actually blessed. My dad never really had to go into anything super heavy, except when I was young, about 6 or 7 years old. We were in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and he had to go down to Panama. The Noriega thing was going on at that time. And we obviously from there ended up in Germany again later. You know, he was already there before I was born. We also went again when I was a kid, about 7 to 10 years old, which I remember very well. I love that European experience and different lifestyle. But he never really had to go. He didn't have to go to Desert Storm or any of those. So we were pretty fortunate as far as deployments go. But he did have a couple extended months at a time, like you said, where he had to go do training, off sites, and different things like that. So it's tough, especially when you're 12 years and younger. You know, you're thinking about my dad's in harm's way. I understand the value of what he's doing to protect our country and serve. So there's pride in that. But there's a lot of sleepless nights, wondering, you know what I mean, when you're seeing the news and, you know, these things are happening down there, and it's like, holy cow.
And there was no Skype then.
There's no Skype, there's no FaceTime, you know what I mean? So we were hoping to talk to him once every few days, you know what I mean, if we could just get some sort of communication. So again, many military families go through much longer tours than what we went through, but that little bit gave me that appreciation and respect for, you know, reasons why I kind of do Jackson Action 83 Foundation, knowing that there's a huge niche there in a focus of supporting that military family, especially those children, which I was, and making sure that doesn't get missed. As much as our servicemen and women deserve that attention, and we want to give them all the support that they deserve and they need, we have to embrace that family structure as well, spouses, children, and everybody else around it.
I feel that's because we kind of sweep it under the rug is why there's so much struggling for veterans in transition, for service members who serve overseas. Is there's not enough resource, or at least I wouldn't say resource, there's not enough attention on those details. And if you don't have a solid support structure, as you know, in any aspect of your life, doing anything, you're probably going to crumble. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing.
And again, that's one thing as a kid, it's going to start there. Yeah, the military structure is very healthy, right? I mean, there's a lot of support systems out there in the institutional format. But the family structure is the one piece that sometimes can be fragmented, can be stressed, and we, like you said, it sometimes maybe gets put to the side or swept under the rug. So we want to make sure that when you go overseas and you're serving, one, you know your family's going to be taken care of. One, you know you have the right type of communication, and your kids and everybody knows that, you know, it's a right type of support system, because again, there's still a lot of high divorce rates for these young deployed men and women. Kids are struggling with their parents gone for extended periods of time. So my story is unique, right? I found success. I excelled in school. You know, I was able to embrace that military child experience and really turn it to a positive, to make me, you know, a better person, to find ways to let my dad inspire me, let the military servicemen and women inspire me to do more and impact my community. So again, you're right, that structure and that foundation, that's really the root of some of the issues that we see today.
Absolutely. And you hit on something about where you didn't really appreciate some things until you were in high school to really see that perspective. So tell us a little bit about some aspects that were negative when you were younger, even when you were in high school, that you now see as a blessing today as a grown man, raising your family and living the life you've lived.
Yeah, so again, I mean, I think I touched on it briefly earlier, but those challenges of having to get orders, you know what I mean, in a matter of months, knowing that you have to ship all your furniture, send everything over to another base or back across the sea, and pick up everything you have and everything you've known for the last 2 or 3 years that's become home, that you've really started to establish yourself, to pick up and go, you know what I mean? So those things where I really, don't say I wasn't resentful, but it was a challenge, you know, you're 6, 7 years old and you're going, holy cow, I enjoy playing on this club soccer team, or, you know, this basketball organization, I got great friends here, and you really just got to step back and go, you know what, this is bigger than me. You know what I mean?
It's almost like you got used to, you pretty much were forced to get used to being comfortable in the discomfort.
You had to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
And I feel that was a blessing to you moving forward, because I mean, playing in an NFL is intense and there's a lot to it, but you've been doing it your whole life already. And I feel that was a big reason why you had that foresight to not only build your NFL career the way you did, but outside that, do the extra stuff.
And I'm still learning that, you know what I mean? I mean, there's still things I'm learning now as a self-proclaimed entrepreneur, you know what I mean? Getting to the civilian world, you know, from football. Again, I didn't serve in the military, but there are a lot of parallels, you know what I mean, with having a very structured career coming straight out of basically college, that age of 18 to 22 years old, and going to serve basically, you know what I mean, a very structured job, you know what I mean, where it's you show up at a certain time, you wear a certain uniform, you do things right. I mean,
they tell you how to
yeah,
live.
but again, I'm not going in line. I'm not comparing them
There's
together.
Parallels.
There's just some parallels there. So yes, I absolutely believe that those experiences, those challenges that I got as a military kid, definitely made me more focused on being able to deal with quick change, right? I mean, that business is a lot of quick change, a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges as far as the competitiveness of it. So I'm being very adaptive.
Yes,
you know what I mean? I had to be
absolutely.
very adaptive as a military child, and I found in the NFL, having that skill set and having that background, it kept me kind of more on an even keel when validity,
Yes.
volatile things came up in that position.
So give us a memory from your childhood that really sticks out in your mind, that really hits on what we were just talking about.
Yeah, so a great story. All right, we were living in Germany, Grafenwehr, Germany. We were there for 3 years. My dad was finishing up, getting his next orders, and we were told that we would be going to Hawaii. He'd be going to Tripler. My dad was a medic, so he was going to be at the hospital there. And we shipped our entire household. We're sleeping literally in our living room, I think on some blow-up mattresses, or like one mattress on the floor, all me, my mom, my dad, I'm the only child. We had 2 dogs at that time. We had to send them over to Hawaii to go through quarantine, so they got to go 3-4 months ahead of us. So we had to ship our dogs that are sitting over there in Hawaii.
The trauma they went through.
Right? You know what I mean? Like their story. I would love to bring them and hear really what's on their mind. Yeah. So we sent everything over there. We basically are just living in our household. He goes to do his final check-in about 2 weeks before we were supposed to, deploy. And they go, I'm sorry, First Sergeant Jackson, you're actually going to be going to Fort Carson in Colorado Springs. And again, I don't know if it was administrative or whatever it was, but that's part of that cycle, right? Something changed. There was an administrative
Well, the reason
call.
that face was how many times that happened to me.
Sure.
It's just.
What do? You know what I mean?
You cry a little.
Yeah, So who knows? I mean, but think about how that path changed a lot of things. Who knows? I might have been a surfer. I don't know. Going to
Look
Hawaii,
at that,
right?
yeah.
So just that whole path of just trusting, higher powers and just the way things were supposed to work out. That was really eye-opening to me, and that's something that always sticks in my mind is like how we had this mindset in this path, and you just go, boom,
You
left
find your
turn.
dogs, man.
You know what I mean? So we had to ship everything,
8,000 miles away from
organize that. You know what I mean? From now Hawaii, get all that to Colorado.
Oh, man.
It's just I knew nothing about Colorado. We've never been there before, and it was just kind of this whole, brain.
Yeah. How old were you at that time?
I was about 10 years old, 11 years old.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So,
when you need stability the most,
yeah,
you don't
know
even,
what I mean?
I don't even know where I'm going.
About to go into middle school soon, you know what I mean? So, but it worked out great. We loved Fort Carson. I ended up staying there. That was basically his last station. He retired as a first sergeant, and I went through high school there and ended up going to the University of Northern Colorado, about 2.5 hours north of Colorado Springs.
Yeah, nice. So was football always the goal? Or did you have a military backup plan? Or what other sports did you play that you were maybe considering?
Football was really the last sport I picked up,
Wow.
to be honest with you, man. I grew up playing, soccer, baseball, basketball, did just about anything I could. Whatever league was open in the parks and recreation or on base, my parents were like signing me up, like, you want to play? Let's go do it, you know what I mean? So they got me very involved. And football was the last thing I really did, probably around the ages of about 11 years old when I got to Colorado.
Yes.
I didn't put on a helmet until I was 13 years old, you know what I mean? So a lot of these kids, Pop Warner, and they start playing 6, 7-year-olds, they kind of look like bobbleheads running around. I didn't really, I wasn't ready for that. I played a little bit of flag football, but I didn't put on pads until, like I said, I was about middle school. So it wasn't a plan, to be honest with you. Education was always first and foremost in my family. I went all the way through school with straight A's. I graduated high school, 4th in my class, 4.1 GPA.
Man.
So I actually got more academic scholarships and financial aid
Really?
for academics, instead of athletics. I went to a Division II school. I wasn't highly recruited. You know what I mean? I wasn't one of these 5-star Gatorade, Under Armour athletes.
But you got picked in round 2, though.
I got picked at the end of second round, you know what I mean? From a small college, you know what I mean?
And you weren't expecting that.
Well, I would say probably about the end of my junior year in college is when I finally recognized, okay, there's starting to be scouts in the stands. I'm starting to get these letters from agents saying, hey, we'd like to, consider representation. Wow. And if I had another, stayed healthy, one, you know what I mean? Got to have that happen for you. And then have another good senior year, then I would have a look. The NFL is different, you know what I mean? Even though I wasn't recruited out of high school, Colorado Springs isn't known as a big powerhouse of Division I blue chip athletes, but we had some good guys come out and play at some nice schools. But my school, we were 4-6, 5-5 in high school, so we weren't like winning state championships. I didn't get a lot of attention, which is okay. I just said, hey, if I get a chance to play sports in college, at a collegiate level, that would be awesome. I knew I was going there because it was a great business school. That was my first,
So
making my
business
decision.
was your.
It was my my 2 schools it finally came down to was actually Columbia, which is a big difference of New York, Ivy League school, in Northern Colorado. And people are like, well, that seems, But the real deal about it is Montfort College of Business at University of Northern Colorado is one of the best business schools west of Mississippi. So that was really my focus. That was my decision maker. And once I got up there, again, I was going to play football only. Ended up playing 2 years of basketball.
Wow.
I don't know if I told you that, but I finished my freshman year as a true freshman. I did not redshirt. Was able to play at 18. As soon as I got to campus, I was able to make the team and play right away. I finished that season. I was playing intramural basketball. A bunch of the football guys, after we finished that season, said, hey, let's stay in shape, let's hang out together. So we all joined the intramural league team on campus, and I was playing pretty well. You know what I mean? We were really good in basketball in high school. We made it to the state finals both my junior and senior year in high school. So basketball was really my first real passion and love. But at 6'5", I hate to say it, I'm a small guy.
It's so crazy.
I'm a little dude.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew my future in basketball was only going so far, but I had a unique niche, being able to be a big guy and could run and everything
and
in football.
Jump now, too.
Yeah,
it's just different. It uses different, completely different physicality in basketball. And I've seen a lot of professional athletes gain their success, especially in football. Gronk, a lot of these amazing wide receivers.
I played with one, Antonio Gates.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
yes,
went to
Antonio
Kansas State and played ball, you know what I mean? So
so tell us a little bit about the experience of being in the NFL draft, to be sitting there, wondering what's happening. All of a sudden you're 22 years old and you get drafted into the NFL, and all of a sudden your entire world changes. I again, parallels is, I was 20 years old when I went into the Marine Corps, and I remember one day I was Adam, the civilian, and next day I'm standing nut to butt with some dude smelling his sweat at attention on yellow footprints outside Paris Island, freaking out. I can only imagine there's probably a little nerves and
a lot of nerves, especially being a guy who's always having to have to overcome that challenge of being a small school guy, right? You know what I mean? People are like, oh, he never played at Florida State, Miami, Nebraska, Michigan. He's not going to be able to keep up, right? You know what I mean? So it's just those challenges, which is okay for me, you know what I mean? Again, not being recruited out of high school and all those things, military resiliency, I was good with it, you know what I mean? I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do my work, I'm going to have fun, first and foremost, you know what I mean? I didn't know if I was going to play 1 year or 5 years or 12 years.
12.
I just was able to enjoy it, you know what I mean? Just really make sure for my family structure, being blessed to have really great parents and a core system, value system around me, to go out there and just do my best, you know what I mean? The same things that got me there, work hard, have a great attitude and go after it. So a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety showing up, a place in San Diego, you know what I mean?
22 with these
mountain
men.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm going to hit
guys, you. And again, you are the new kid on the block, right? And it's not an easy place to be, especially if you're drafted, because their expectations are there, right? Oh, well, you were drafted pretty high. You got to be ready to go and input. And unfortunately, I was not able to really make a huge impact my rookie year. I played a little bit, mostly special teams, but I didn't play a lot of receiver. And so guys are like, oh, okay, well, we don't know if this guy's going to make it last. So it was just that first 2-3 years really trying to work my way into that starting lineup, which I was able to do, and finally, things from there went well. But that challenge of showing up and coming from a small school in my background, thank goodness,
humble beginnings
and going the background that I had. Thank goodness I had that, because it kept me focused. It really kept me my eye on the prize to say, I can get through this and I can make it.
So who were some of the leaders within the clubhouse, within your organization, that really influenced you early on in your career? And how did that help you prepare? How did they help you prepare for each new segment you went into in your life, basically?
Yeah, I was blessed, man. I mean, I had some really, really savvy veterans when I got to San Diego. Keenan McCardell, Drew Brees. I only had him fortunately for 1 year, but great guy. Yeah, backup quarterback Billy Volek was there multiple years. There were some defensive line, some names you guys may not know. Jamal Williams, just some guys who were just Lorenzo Neal. I mean, really, really solid guys. And of course, LaDainian Tomlinson, who's doing great now on NFL Network and everything. So these guys were great in the locker room. They were obviously great players. You know what I mean? They went about their craft. They worked at it. They set a great example for young players. They were great in the community. They showed that you have to take that platform you have and do some good with it, right? Don't just take it and, enjoy your job and take home a check and, live your life. But can you make an impact? You can serve, right? You can pay it forward. It's blessed to be able to have that platform and that privilege to play at that level. And again, we become action figures, if you will, but it's a lot of work. It's very challenging. It's a very competitive environment. It's very scrupulous. Things that go behind closed doors, a lot of people don't talk about. We kind of see the ESPN and the ticker. And yes, athletes, I get it. We have the stigma of kind of being like, oh, you're privileged and you've always had everything. Like,
it's easy to say.
It's
easy to look up the mountain and go
on that side, yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, I know what a lot of guys go through their bodies, the medical stuff, the time constraints and everything that goes on. And
travel.
again,
you're away from your family all the time.
And again, well compensated. So trust me, there's no excuse there. No one's making any gripes on that. But we're all human beings.
We're all humans.
We're all human.
And that's why I was so excited to be able to tell your story from the military dependent perspective, but also demonstrate, to a lot of people here in Tampa, you're an icon. You know, you're a hero. I mean, the red carpet gets rolled out everywhere you go, and you're like, And I saw that a couple times, you know, when we've done events together, and it's just, we often forget that you are just a human being with emotions and feelings, going through your own struggles, going through your own things, and I love to draw comparisons because at the end of the day, the essence of who we are is what's really important, and it's just great to hear what you.
And it's a challenge. I mean, again, it's not all roses and rainbows, and I always use that analogy with my daughter, who's 4 years old, and everything's a rainbow and a unicorn right now. So. Even as a parent now with young kids, like teaching them that there has to be adversity and trying to integrate adversity into their life. You know what I mean? My kids won't be military kids. How can I introduce the right amount of adversity in their life so they understand that things don't always just happen, right? It takes work, it takes effort. You're gonna have some bad days, some dark days. How do we overcome? How do we communicate and get through it? And again, like you said, even as an adult now, being a citizen and a neighbor here in Tampa, I'm still learning my way here.
Yes.
You know, I've been in Tampa, 7 years, and
you've been out 2 years.
Yeah, I've only been out of football 2 years. You know what I mean? And it feels like it's been longer, but at the end of the day, it feels
well,
like
you've done a lot
you
in
know
those 2 years, though.
I've been busy. You know what I mean? But I enjoy what I do. You know what I mean? I try to engage myself and really entrench myself to speed up that acumen, right? Because you got to think about it. At 30, left the league at 34, 35 years old, and I'm just now really starting my true business career. Was I doing some entrepreneurial stuff on the sideline in my off seasons? Yes, I was.
Side hustles.
Continuing my education, starting my businesses, and not really be hands-on full time, but I was integrated enough to continue to be prepared for this transition. Yes. And that really helped. And I know we want to talk about that at some point, but that really helped me with my transition. It was kind of planting some seeds while I was still playing, to have some things waiting for me to kind of take on.
How many people did you know that did it?
Yeah, they don't. They wait and then they get finished, and it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah, I watched an interview with Chad Ochocinco, and he told us, like, he never spent his money. He created this character that would actually give him the more attention when he was playing this and that, but he really wasn't that person.
Yep.
He played that role, but he never spent his paychecks. He saved it, and he invested, and he built wealth portfolios, and because of that, he's well off now after an 8, 10, 12-year career. I mean, that's all you have. It's only like 8, 10, 12 years before your body just gives up. You know, I just turned 30, and this year, finally, after 15 years of just putting my body through so much trauma, it just said stop, and I just had to like really stop and give myself time. So I can only imagine playing a combat sport like that, or those veterans that took 10, 3, 4, 5 tours overseas. You
have to be patient and soft with yourself. I hate to say that. You
have
to have compassionate to yourself. You have to let that decompress, let the inflammation go out. I mean, mentally and physically.
Yes.
I mean, it's a hard rigor that you're just banging and addressing and going and structure. So you have to be able to decompress and transition to a civilian world where, yeah, you're right, it's different now, right? I don't have somebody telling me, hey, be at this meeting at 7:30 in the morning. Like, I don't have
structure.
That.
You have to create it for yourself.
Yeah, I have to create it for myself. I have to show my true self-discipline, where am I going to hold myself accountable?
Yes.
No one else is. And again, you try to build a network and again, engage with other people in the community, like great young men like yourself, you know what I mean? And find those connections that you can bond with. And
tribe, man. You got to find your tribe. Post anything.
Absolutely.
So give us a little story about the decision for you to retire after 12 years. You know, how did it go down? What did it feel like? What did it feel like to know you were never going to put this uniform on again?
Yeah. So the decision to retire, I was prepared for that. You know what I mean? That was one thing I was ready to do. And unfortunately, my last 2 years, I went on IR both years. So I didn't, luckily, knock on wood, didn't have anything major happen. I never had any major surgeries, but I got injured enough where I was going to miss multiple weeks in the season. And when you have a 53-man roster, you know what I mean, you got to have the next guy up. You can't keep somebody active. Yes. So it was an understood and appreciated decision by the organization to have to do that. So 2 years of that, of being a competitive guy that I am, that wanted to be on the field, wanted to be playing with my brothers, to be able to, physically just not be able to do that, it just woke me up and said, you know what? Again, no one's invincible. You know what I mean? I've had a very healthy career. I'm blessed. I never had any major concussions, thank gosh. So I didn't have any of the, mental or the brain trauma, impact things going on. So I said, who am I?
No major concussions.
Yeah. Who am I to be so selfish and go, I need to keep pushing this? Like, what was I trying to achieve? You know what I mean? I had a great career. I played on some great teams, some great individuals. I have some great memories. I always will have. Somebody, bring things up, or don't you want to try to be on a Super Bowl or go to the playoffs? Like, of course, that would be great. You know what I mean? But I played 12 years, and I had my opportunities. And sometimes it's time to move on, and you have to accept that. So yeah, when I was in that second year of that IR, and it was a 12-year, and I had finished my full contract here in Tampa, which is actually rare. And people don't know in the sports world, but I finished a full 7 years in San Diego and a full 5 years on 2 teams. So a lot of guys don't finish contracts these days, right? You get a 5-year deal, you play 3 of it, and you go somewhere else, or something else happens. But I actually finished that, and my agents tell me that too. Like, dude, you're like one of like thousands of players we've had.
The easiest person to ever manage.
You actually finished your contracts, you did everything. Yeah, you didn't ask for anything. So we just joked about that. He was in town a few days ago.
Nice.
So the decision was like, wow, you're right. Once I got done and I knew I was walking out, shaking my hands and saying bye to the organization and leaving the building,
did you do one of these?
It's bittersweet, you know what I mean? And again, is it not that I wasn't ready? I was like, oh my gosh, I actually don't want to run. I don't want to work out in the morning. I don't want to have to go run any more hills. Like, I'm not looking forward to any of that. So I'm excited about that part of it. But the part you're gonna miss is those travel trips. You know what I mean? Hanging out with guys in the locker room, going through the brutal training camp in that heat with your brothers and just sweating and bleeding together, and then getting that excitement of going that first game and coming out of that tunnel. So those small things, still give me goosebumps and still give me chills. Like, oh my gosh, like how exciting and cool that was. You know what I mean? Because now I'm a fan. I go to the games and I'm like, I'm just another guy with popcorn in the stands. But I know it. I kind of know that feeling, and that's something I'll always be able to relate to. So I was ready. You know what I mean? It was my time. I was beginning my young family now. I mean, I have 4 kids. That are 5 years old and down, so it's busy. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be a more hands-on. I wanted to be a father who was there. Would I've loved to have my kids be around to see me play actively? That would be cool. But I got DVDs and I got old stuff. I'll bring up YouTube and you know what I mean, and let them know, hey, your dad was. Look at your dad.
Look how good he
your
is.
dad. You know what I'm saying?
Let's not watch this game. Let's not watch this game.
Let's drop that one. So at the end of the day, man, I was ready to be. A citizen. I was ready to be a neighbor and get into some of the other passions of development and real estate and business and restaurants and again, the foundation and what we're doing with military families. I was excited. I was ready for that.
What's your transition been like then since the last 2 years? I mean, has it been rough? Have you had some times where you just didn't really know what was up from down?
Of course. I mean, there's challenges. I mean, any entrepreneur would tell you. I mean, if it's been all roses, God bless you. I mean, I hope that somebody can go out there and have an idea and a business and it can just go
Instagram, 2 years, $2 billion.
Boom, you know what I mean? Something like that. But I'm sure it didn't go that smoothly. So it's been up and down. You know what I mean? At the most part, I find it positive. The fact that one, I got my health. You know what I mean? I have a great family. I'm in a beautiful city. I'm making great networks with the good people. You know what I mean? That's one value thing that you can't put a price tag on. It's just the intrinsic value of having a good tribe. You know what I mean? I'm meeting so many great people in Tampa that are philanthropic, that are unselfish, that invite me to their businesses and say, hey, just come and hang out. You want to learn something? Just come hang out. These guys have been doing it ahead of me, my age, but they've been doing it for the last 15 years, right? While I was playing ball. So it's allowing me to speed up my learning curve and truly to be a CEO of a company, development company, and deal with international, or not international, but national, scale developments. That's it's a lot to take on. So it's a lot of education.
And you're CEO of that too. So.
Yeah, but I love the education piece. My background with the school, like I'm kind of a nerd in that way. I can't learn enough. Nope. You know what I mean? So I want to be hands-on. I want to integrate myself. My wife and my family's been super patient with allowing me to go and do that and put myself out there. So it's been, like I said, it's a transition. Let's just call it that. You know what I mean? And it's still ongoing.
So you spent 7 years in one of the biggest military towns in San Diego.
Yeah.
But then you came to Tampa, and it seemed to just got your heart right off the bat. You started the Jackson in Action 83 Foundation in November of 2012. You had just gotten to Tampa in 2012. Why'd you choose this city, and why'd you choose this city to set up roots?
Good question. Again, San Diego, love the city. I mean, a beautiful city, one of the top, probably 5 cities in the country. Cost of living is high out there. You know what I mean? It's an expensive place to live and taxes and everything, but it's a beautiful city. A lot of things that you really, you really enjoy. And again, like you said, a big military town, which I was involved with. You know what I mean? Coronado's out there, the naval base, Miramar, the Marine base. So I was right there. Those were my backyard. I was very hands-on with that. But I wasn't prepared, one, to speak on the foundation. Running a foundation is a business, you know what I mean? It's not just being an athlete or any business person and saying, hey, I want to do a nonprofit, here we go, you know what I mean? You get a 501c3, like, it's a business. Like, you go through the regulation, and it's very, very diligent and strict, you know what I mean? So I wasn't ready at that time. I knew I needed the right team behind me, and I wanted to be prepared to do it the right way. So when I got to Tampa in 2012, and I get immediately to McDill, you know what I mean? McDill in our backyard is such a blessing, you know what I mean? I just tell you that all the time, I can't get enough, but I went immediately to McDill and just wanted to see what was going on, learn more about the base, learn more about things that, how I can get involved, you know what I mean, what I can do. And it just clicked. I met the right people very quickly here. I knew it was the right time to start that foundation. I was prepared, I was mature enough to run a business like that. And so that was really when I was, deciding out of all the philanthropic stuff I was doing in San Diego, I loved it, but I was not prepared to do a foundation. You know what I mean? And when I got here, the setting was right. And I actually knew, like you said, within probably about 6 months of living in Tampa, that I was going to stay here. I just knew it. I mean,
it's a great place.
I lived in San Diego, and nothing against California or the people there. I still go back. I have businesses operating. Wonderful place to go. My wife's from there, her family. But I lived in the same house for 6 years, and I think I knew 2 or 3 neighbors. Like it's a lot more dense. It's a lot more active and competitive, and people kind of stay in their lanes. And it's kind of like I'm walking my dog to the mailbox, and it's like, hey, like it's not like no engagement,
Absolutely.
right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's a little bit different socially. And I don't make that in general. It's a general statement, but not for everybody. But just my experience, that's what I went through. When I got to Tampa, totally different. I've been living in my house that I was able to find. I lived at the Homewood Suites for 3 months while my wife was still out in San Diego teaching. So I lived by myself in Homewood Suites while I was going through spring training. But then we found a property in South Tampa, and we didn't have our furniture yet, right? So I'm sitting literally on lawn chairs in my living room, and then all of a sudden the doorbell just starts going off like a week or 2 in, and people are just walking up with their kids, and neighbors are coming by saying, hey, what's up, or here. They didn't know I was Vincent Jackson Tampa. They just knew they had a new neighbor that purchased the house. So they just were coming by saying, hi, this is where you should go shop, this is where you should go eat dinner. These are great schools here if you guys start a family. We didn't have kids at the time when we first moved here. So I was like, holy cow. I mean, this is like the true Southern hospitality that you hear about, that you read about. And this is authentic. These people didn't care about, again, the Buccaneers or any of that. They just said, you're a neighbor, welcome. Can we do anything to help you? We hope to see you around. We're excited to have you here. It's a beautiful place to live. You're gonna love Tampa. And after that, I said, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. This is where I can create roots here, create a basis here. Business, philanthropy with the foundation, and raise my own kids, do a family here. And I think I was telling you before, I got my parents to move out here from Colorado.
Get the whole clan out
here.
here.
I'm trying to recruit. I've got 2.5 years, my parents here. They live in Carrollwood. I got my mom's sister and her husband who lived in San Francisco for 30, 40 years. They moved out here. They live up in like Land O'Lakes area. My in-laws bought an investment property through my company down in South Tampa about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I'm like, hey, more merrier. Let's go. Let's put down roots here. And I plan on staying here, for the long haul. And if my kids want to come back here, they know that I always have roots here. I think it's kind of cool being a military kid, knowing I always had to change schools. My kids are going to be able to grow up here with the same friends.
It's going to be a completely different dichotomy.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
So some of your idols growing up, we're talking now more of transformation because you transitioned, you struggled a little bit, but then it seems like you found your footing, CTV Capital. Some of your idols growing up are Roger Staubach and Magic Johnson for the way they were able to handle their business outside the professional sports. So what made all the difference for you to continue building and diversifying your wealth portfolio throughout your NFL career?
It's again that tribe, that network, right? The education. That's a big thing for me. I mean, and I utilized as much as I could while I was actively playing. The NFL does a great job with the Players Union offering off-season programs for these guys. Like I went to Wharton School of Business, a week-long program to study, business development, entrepreneurship, investments, things like that. So constantly just putting myself out there, going and getting engaged, getting entrenched in different aspects of business, that I was curious about. And then again, being a little bit blessed to have, good people that are willing to give you their time and their thoughts and experiences. So maybe I don't have to make the same mistakes that somebody else already made. With maybe the crash of 2008, 2009, we weren't heavily, thank goodness, we weren't, CTV wasn't doing a lot of development and grabbing assets because I know a lot of guys that got hurt, during that time, especially here in Florida. So to learn from that and to have that network of people that I can rely on as mentors, and it's been huge. It really has.
So how has all these connections helped the Jackson Action 83 Foundation really prosper, especially since you left the NFL?
Yeah, so again, a lot of people think, well, it's a foundation that's going to only thrive because he's a player, right? You know what I mean? Like, no, that was never the goal. You know what I mean? And I never done any of my programs are not built around football. I don't do a football camp. I do a youth and activity camp. It's about health, wellness, nutrition, and getting kids outdoors doing stuff that we grew up doing. Get away from the technology a little bit. Can we have a sack race? Can we go down the neighborhood and get a couple kids and do some fun stuff in the yard? Can you do some cool stuff? Relay races. So it's those kind of old school games that we grew up on to show kids that hey, it doesn't take some sort of big structured technological environment for you to go out there and have some fun and get healthy, get active, get out of the house, let's have some fun, and let's just teach you how to make good decisions. So again, the network that I found here and all the community members that I found here are so hands-on, are so generous with sponsorships, just engagement. I mean, I get more people to just say, look, I don't need your money, just come out to our events. You know what I mean? Our programs are grassroots. We're very authentic. We're very active. We're doing something almost every month with our foundation for these families. So I just want, people can't give me anything better than your time. You know what I mean? And if you want to donate or be a sponsor, absolutely. Wouldn't say no to that. You guys always open. Jackson-83.org. But
there you go. Nice plug.
Yeah, nice shameless plug.
I was gonna give you some. Take it all you want.
At the end of the day, man, what's really been great about Tampa is just that the fact that the people are willing to support it. And there's a lot of foundations here. Trust me. There's a lot of foundations in this little tri-county area. You know what I mean?
50 square miles.
It's a lot going on. So it's only so many dollars that everybody's asking for the same groups and same businesses to do. So I try to, fundraising is probably my least favorite thing to do, but it's a means to an end.
Yep.
We try to do the fun things that we can do to get people engaged, to educate them about military households and things and challenges they go through. And then from there, we hope you can stay involved, and we hope to make an impact with you.
That's beautiful, man. I really appreciate you talking to us about that, because again, we were talking about how important military families are to the well-being of veterans and active duty military personnel, and people like you who are starting these foundations are imperative to continuing for families to grow and prosper alongside the veterans and active duty personnel.
That's exactly what it's about. You know what I mean? I don't have any aspirations to be some 7-figure foundation. It's just not what I want to do. I love my programs.
You have CTV Capital, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll be all right. I really just want to make the impact. The things that I get, the letters from the spouses and families that are going on to another base in Georgia or North Carolina, and they send letters back and saying, hey, we still got your book that you and your wife wrote, and it's my daughter's favorite book. She's had it, you know what I mean, for 4 years now. Like, we read it, a couple times a week. That type of stuff, those stories, you know what I mean?
It's everything.
That's everything.
It's invaluable currency. It's the universe.
That's what it is.
So you continue to push forth and tackle even harder challenges in your life. Explain why it's important for you to always be moving forward, and how the relationship you've built with yourself all these years plays into the success that you've seen and had.
Oh, man. We're still learning ourselves, right? You know what I mean? We're always growing, you know what I mean? And I hate to say it, in football, I was an old man, right?
Yeah.
When I left.
Yeah, 30s.
But I get to real life, and I'm pretty young, you know what I mean? I'm in my mid-30s, and again, I got a lot of life ahead of me, you know what I mean? A lot of things that I can learn and grow and do. So it's constant moving target, you know what I mean? And I just want to continue to improve and make an impact. And there's so many great people that inspire me. And again, I've been blessed to be able to do the things that I'm doing here, but I don't do it for the fact that it has to be about Vincent Jackson. You know what I mean? It's about being your neighbor. It's about doing the right thing, setting an example for our children, my children, and other kids in the community that do still look at me maybe as that, action figure number 83, whatever it is. To have that privilege and that platform, I don't take it lightly. You know what I mean? I want to set a good example. I want to do right for my family as well as other families here, especially in the military community. So. Again, we're continuing to build. I don't know what I'll be doing in 3 years. Hopefully continue to grow some of the great things that have already been established, but I will be here.
How can we learn more about Vincent Jackson, your foundation, CTV Capital, and everything else you got coming down the line?
Sure. Again, Jackson-Action83.org. We usually keep a running calendar going on of upcoming events and things we have going. This summer, we're going to have our Youth in Action Camp, like I said, coming up here middle of the month, about 2 weeks. We have our Military Moms Baby Shower. We do right here in South Tampa at Palmacia. That one's beautiful, 40 young couples. We shower them with generosity of a bunch of businesses and young things that, these military couples it's a challenge. They don't make a ton of money. No. You know what I mean? You're
always
young,
traveling.
You're always traveling. So to support them and give them a little boost, right, on that new next challenge. They're already going through enough challenges as a military couple, but now they're having children. They're, whether it's their first or second child, to give them that support, right, to give them a little boost there. It's huge and it's emotional. It's one of my favorite events. And then throughout the year, man, school year, we'll be doing our Salute to Reading program. Always supporting literacy, how important that is on the basis of education foundation. And then myself, CTV Capital, ctvcapital.com. We're a residential commercial developer here. Most of our work is in Central Florida. We do have a little roots out in California, Nevada as well, Ohio as well. But we're just, stay right in the lane, try to do good deals. I don't need to do anything massive. You won't see me building probably any high rises in downtown Tampa yet, you know what I mean? But I just want to do good quality work. I enjoy creating, opportunities of jobs and creating opportunities for living situations and helping affordable housing, workforce housing, whatever we can do. There's still always philanthropic, ties to all of my businesses, even the restaurants that we're doing, Cast Social I have in South Tampa.
That's yours, okay.
The historic Manhattan Casino over there in St. Petersburg, next to Pinellas Job Corps. So they all have intrinsic values, right? It's connected to the community. It's connecting to serving. right? I mean, people ask about leadership, servant leadership.
Yep,
servant leadership is the way that we need to move forward.
Thank you so much for coming on, Vince.
Adam,
You're
thank
a
you, bro.
beautiful story, man,
I
and just
appreciate it,
thank you
man.
for being vulnerable with me. And I want to thank everyone for another edition of Vetting America. I'm here with Vincent Jackson, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer wide receiver, military dependent, and just thank you all for joining us today, and I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, guys? Vincent Jackson here, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer wide receiver, and now currently your Tampa neighbor, running CTV Capital, and the founder of Jackson and Action 83 Foundation, supporting military families and focusing on the education, the emotional, and physical support of those children in military families. If you enjoyed this interview with Adam, I absolutely did. It was a great time. There's continue more. I hope this is an ongoing conversation. Please make sure you subscribe to the Vetting America YouTube channel and find more and stay tuned because I'll be back.